Baby, let me tell you something I never thought I'd have to say out loud, not even to myself. On the day they buried my husband Samuel, when the church was filled with lilies and folks fanning themselves like they were sitting inside an oven, I thought the worst thing I'd face was watching that casket disappear into the ground. I thought grief was going to be the only weight on my chest. But no, baby. Life don't never let you hurt in peace. Because before the last amen even dried off the pastor's tongue, my own sister, my flesh and blood, leaned in close to me at the repast and asked me a question so heavy, so wicked, that I swear my knees almost buckled. She said, "Mae, you know Marcus deserves a piece of Samuel's inheritance. He was his real father." Just like that, baby. No warning, no shame, no respect for the dead. At my husband's funeral, I froze so hard my heart felt like it skipped a whole beat. I was standing there with a paper plate of cold fried chicken in my hand, the kind Sister had it always overcooks, and all I could hear was that sentence echoing inside my skull like somebody banging on a church bell. He was his real father. My ears started ringing so loud I couldn't even hear the choir warming up for the closing song. I looked at her thinking maybe grief done twisted her brain. Maybe she meant something else. Maybe I misheard. But baby, the look on her face told me she meant every single word. Diane just sucked her teeth, smoothed her dress like she practicing for a pageant, and said it again. Calm, steady, evil. Marcus is Samuel's son. You know that, so he deserves something. Baby, I ain't know if I should scream, faint, or throw that chicken wing directly at her forehead. The room started spinning like the Holy Ghost was trying to shake the truth out of me. We was in the church basement, the same room where we held Easter potlucks and baby showers and Bible study. Kids were running around between the folding tables. Somebody dropped a cup of red punch on the floor, and Sister Agnes was already fussing about the stain. But inside me, everything got so quiet I could hear my own heartbeat stumbling around like it didn't know where to go. Diane, my big sister, the same girl I shared a mattress with when we were little, the same woman who held my hand when Mama died, the same fool I kept forgiving every time she blew up her own life, stood there acting like she was owed something. For 55 years I'd known that woman, and not once did she ever say a word like that. Not one hint, not one slip, not one secret cry. She waited till my Samuel was lying cold in the ground before she opened her mouth. I pulled my arm away from her so fast she stumbled a little. "Diane," I whispered, 'cause people was already looking our way. "What are you talking about?" She blinked at me like I was the crazy one. "Diane, don't play dumb. You know Samuel always cared for Marcus. You know he helped him. You know the truth." Baby, let me tell you, my hand started shaking so bad I had to set my plate down before I dropped the whole thing on my shoes. I felt this pressure inside my chest, heavy like somebody put a cinder block right on my ribs. I wanted to stand on top of that table and scream, "Why are you choosing now? Why here? Why in front of God and everybody?" But instead, I sat down real slow, like my knees didn't belong to me anymore. I tried to replay the last 35 years with Samuel, searching for anything that made her words make sense. My Samuel wasn't no perfect man, but he was steady, loyal, kind in a way that made strangers smile. The man who came home every night smelling like motor oil and wintergreen gum. The man who kissed me on the forehead before he kissed me on the mouth, 'cause he said that's how you show respect and not just affection. The man who rubbed my back when my arthritis fled and left little "I love you, Mae" notes in my Bible when he went to work early. That man? A secret child with my sister? Baby, no, not my Samuel. But grief does funny things to your brain. It cracks open old memories like dusty shoeboxes. I tried to picture that summer Diane came to stay with us. Lord, she must have been 24, wearing them tight jeans and that too loud perfume. She used to laugh too loud and stay out too late and flirt with everybody who had a pulse.
I remember catching her once in the kitchen talking low to Samuel, both of them jumping when I walked in. They said they was arguing about cornbread. Cornbread. Maybe when you grieving, even stupid stories start sounding suspicious. "Diane," I said finally, my voice so thin I barely recognized it. "Diane, you better explain yourself right now." She leaned closer, her breath smelling like them cheap mints she always ate. "Mae, Marcus been Samuel's boy since he was born. Samuel told me he'd always take care of him. I kept quiet all these years 'cause I didn't want to hurt you, but now that Samuel gone, well, it's time we do right by my baby, by his baby." I swear I saw red for a second. Not anger red, shock red, shame red, betrayal red. I don't even remember standing up, but suddenly I was on my feet, clutching the back of my chair, trying to stay upright. "Do right by who?" I said. "Diane, if you're telling the truth, you've been lying to me for 3 decades. And if you're lying now, you're using my husband's funeral to run some scam. Which one is it?" She blinked slow, like she was bored with my pain. "Believe what you want," she said, "but Marcus deserves his share of that money, and you better not make this difficult." "Make what difficult, baby? I didn't even know we had enough money for anything to be difficult. We had a tiny insurance policy from Samuel's job and some savings tucked in an old jar. Wasn't nobody rich in that room, not even close. But Diane's eyes, they told me she didn't care about the amount. She cared about the claim, the ownership, the power. She liked the idea of knowing something that could destroy me. And then it hit me, baby. Not like a slap, but like a slow sinking stone. That woman didn't break this news to honor Samuel. She didn't say it to help Marcus. She said it because she wanted something. She wanted control. She wanted to shape me. She wanted to rewrite my whole life with one ugly sentence. I sat back down, folded my hands real calm-like, because Samuel always told me, "Mae, never let nobody drag you out your character, not even the devil in a church dress." And that day, Diane was wearing a church dress, but baby, her spirit was nothing holy. Before I go on, baby, if you're listening to me right now and your heart beating fast like mine was that day, go on and click that follow, 'cause Whispers of Auntie Mae got plenty more truth coming, and I don't want you missing a word. You hear? Baby, when that repast finally ended and the last cousin scraped the last spoon of mac and cheese out the pan, I did what a good church lady is supposed to do. I smiled, hugged necks, told folks, "Thank y'all for coming. I appreciate you," like my heart wasn't breaking in 3 different places. Soon as the front door shut behind the last guest, that smile slid off my face like cheap lipstick in July. I turned the lock, leaned my forehead against the wood, and just listened. No Samuel humming down the hall, no TV news playing too loud, just a quiet, so heavy it felt like another person standing in the room with me. I walked back to the bedroom, those tight black shoes pinching my toes, and kicked them off at the door. One shoe bounced under the dresser, the other landed crooked on the rug. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at Samuel's pillow. It still smelled faint like his aftershave, that clean, sharp scent he wore every Sunday morning. I picked it up, pressed my face into it, and baby, I cried all over again. I wasn't just weeping for my husband in the ground. I was weeping for 35 years that suddenly felt like somebody had taken a marker and scribbled a big question mark across them. Diane's words ran round and round in my head like a stray dog you can't chase off. Marcus deserves a piece of Samuel's inheritance. He was his real father. The way she said real cut the deepest. Every time that line replayed, my stomach knotted up. Part of me kept saying, "She lying. She just greedy." Another part whispered, "But what if she not?" Grief and doubt make a mean little choir when they start singing together. After a while, my tears dried on my cheeks, but my chest still hurt. I washed my face, tied my scarf tighter, and shuffled to the kitchen. Grief will have you moving like an old ghost, opening cabinets, closing them, forgetting what you came for. I poured myself a cup of tea, set it on the table, and never even took a sip. I just sat there, fingers curled around the warm mug, staring at the wall while my mind walked backwards. I remembered that first summer after Samuel and I got married when Diane came to stay with us. Mama had called, voice tired, saying, "Maylee, your sister needs a place to get herself together. That man she with is no good." We had a tiny second bedroom, fresh paint on the walls, and more love than furniture. Samuel didn't hesitate. "Tell her she's welcome," he said. "Family is family." Back then, I just thought, "Lord, thank you for giving me a man with a soft heart." Diane showed up with one busted suitcase and 3 outfits too tight for church. She walked in, looked around, and laughed. "Ooh, sis, this is cute. Y'all really playing house." Then she turned to Samuel, smiled a little too wide, and said, "You better treat my sister right, you hear?" He grinned, rubbed the back of his neck, and answered, "Yes, ma'am, I know what I got." I was proud they liked each other. Never once did jealousy cross my mind. Now, sitting alone in that kitchen after the funeral, those memories came back wearing different clothes. I saw myself coming home early from the clinic one afternoon, finding Samuel and Diane in the kitchen, standing close, talking low. They jumped when they saw me, like kids caught with a hand in the cookie jar. Diane laughed too loud and said, "Girl, we was just fussing over whether sugar belongs in grits." Samuel kissed my cheek and asked about my day, and I let the moment roll right past me. I remember that night the power went out too. It was August, air thick like soup. We dragged blankets into the living room to sleep near the open window. Sometime in the dark, I half awoke and heard whispering by the doorway. Samuel's soft rumble, Diane's little giggle. A flashlight beam slipped across the ceiling. Somebody said they were going to check the fuse box. The front door creaked. When I woke again, Samuel was lying behind me on the pallet, arm draped over my waist. "Go back to sleep, Maylee," he murmured. "I got you." Back then, that one sentence was enough to quiet every question. I closed my eyes and believed him. Now those same memories sat in front of me like puzzle pieces I never bothered to put together. Maybe they still didn't make a picture. Maybe grief was trying to trick me, but I couldn't unremember them. "Lord," I whispered into the stillness, "if there was something I refused to see back then, I don't know if I'm strong enough to see it now." Finally, I pushed back from the table and walked to Samuel's old desk in the living room corner. He kept that desk neat like a pastor keeps his Bible. Bills in one stack, car receipts in another, important papers tucked in an old cigar box. I opened the box with shaky fingers and pulled out our treasures: marriage license, house deed copy, and that little life insurance policy from the plant. $10,000 if he died natural, $15,000 if the job took him. Since his heart stopped in his sleep, that meant 10. Add the 7 we had tucked in savings, and baby, that was the whole kingdom, $17,000. That was the inheritance Diane was ready to set fire to our history over. A rough little laugh slipped out my throat. "Lord, she trying to tear up 35 years over money that won't even buy a new truck," I muttered. But under that laugh was a hurt so real it made my hands shake. It wasn't the size of the pot. It was the way my own sister looked at my pain and saw opportunity. I was still staring at that policy when a soft knock tapped on the front door. For half a heartbeat, my foolish mind whispered, "Samuel, grief will lie to you bold like that." I wiped my eyes, put the papers back in the box, slid it into the drawer, and went to see who it was. When I opened the door, there stood Marcus. Big boy, shoulders broad, cap in his hands, eyes red around the edges. He smelled like motor oil and a little smoke, same as Samuel used to after working on cars all day. "Auntie Mae," he said gently,
You doing okay?" I pulled him into a hug. His chest felt solid, familiar. When we stepped back, I found myself studying his face in a way I never had before. The shape of his nose, the way his eyebrows sat. A trace of Samuel in there? Or was my mind playing connect the dots where it shouldn't? I hated that Diane had put that doubt in me. "I'm hanging on, baby," I said. "Come on in." We sat on the couch in the quiet living room. No TV, just the hum of the refrigerator down the hall. Marcus twisted that cap between his big hands. "My mama told me she might have upset you," he started. "I'm real sorry about that. She gets carried away when she's stressed." "Your mama didn't just get carried away," I answered softly. "She told me Samuel was your real daddy and you supposed to get some inheritance. Did you know she was going to say that?" His eyes flew wide open. For a moment he didn't say a word. Then he sighed. "She been hinting around it," he admitted, saying Samuel helped her more than any regular brother-in-law, saying I ought to remember who really looked out for me. But I didn't tell her to come after you, Auntie Mae. I swear I didn't. "Did Samuel ever tell you himself you were his son?" I asked. Marcus shook his head quick. "No, ma'am. He called me nephew every single time. Treated me better than my real daddy, yeah. Came to my games, helped me fix my car, showed up when nobody else did. But he never once said, 'I'm your father.' That's all mama's story." Something in my chest loosened just a little, like a too tight belt getting one notch of relief. The doubt didn't vanish, but it didn't choke quite as hard. "All right, baby," I said. "Whatever truth your mama carrying, she chose to keep it tucked away till your uncle was in the ground, and now she trying to hand it to me like a hot pan straight out of the oven." Marcus stared at the floor. "I just don't want to lose you too," he murmured. "Samuel's gone. If mama keeps pushing this thing, I know it's gonna blow up the family."
I reached over and patted his knee. "Listen here, baby," I told him, voice steady as I could make it. "You are my nephew, whether your blood say Samuel or not. That part don't change. But your mama just lit a match in a dry field, and now I got to figure out how to keep what's left of my life from burning to the ground." Baby, when Sunday morning rolled around, I woke up with that same heaviness pressing on my chest, like grief and confusion were sitting on top of me, swinging their legs. I got dressed slow, black skirt, soft blouse, sensible shoes, because the saints always show up on Sundays, even when your heart feel like somebody wrung it out like a wet towel. I tied my scarf neat, looked at my reflection and said, "Lord, just don't let me fall apart in front of these people. Not today." Then I stepped out the house and went to church like a soldier going into battle. Soon as I walked in, folks rushed me with hugs and "We praying for you, Sister Mae," and "We here if you need anything." That should have comforted me, but baby, it just made my throat tighten. 'Cause standing 2 pews behind me was Diane, in her brightest sunflower yellow dress, big hat sitting like a satellite dish on her head, fanning herself slow, like she had no troubles in this world. She gave me this little smile, sweet as poison, and I felt my stomach flip. That woman had the nerve to look peaceful, baby, after dropping a bomb on me big enough to level the whole neighborhood. During praise and worship, I tried to focus, I really did, but my mind kept drifting. Every hallelujah felt like it was bouncing off a locked door in my chest. Pastor Collins preached about forgiveness, of course he did, because the Lord got a sense of humor, and Diane was in the corner nodding like she was the poster child for healing and harmony. If the devil ever needed a spokesperson, all he'd have to do is hand Diane a microphone and step aside. After service, people came up wanting to pray over me, hold my hands, rub my back. I smiled, said thank you, accepted every hug so they wouldn't worry. But when Sister Agnes leaned in and whispered, "I heard Diane stand with you to help you through this hard time," I almost choked. "Not for long," I said. Her eyebrows flew up, but I didn't feed her no more crumbs. Church folks don't need the whole loaf to bake a rumor.
Baby, when I rushed home after that, wanting nothing more than quiet and tea. But when I opened my door, there was Diane, sitting at my kitchen table, wearing my slippers, sipping my sweet tea, and flipping through a folder of my paperwork like she was the executor of Samuel's will. My heart dropped clean through the floor. "What you doing with my paperwork?" I asked, voice calm in the way dangerous things are calm. She didn't even blink, didn't jump, didn't flinch, just looked over her glasses like a tired school teacher and said, "May, relax. I'm trying to help you get organized. Wills, policies, bank stuff, it's a lot for one person." I walked over and snatched that folder so fast she sucked her teeth. I said, "You were right. It is a lot for one person. Lucky for me, I'm that person. You can put my slippers back and see yourself out." Instead of leaving like a normal, respectful human, she stood up slow, crossed her arms and said, "You being dramatic again. You always get like this when somebody tries to help you. I'm just trying to make sure Marcus gets what belongs to him." "Belongs to him?" I stared at her stunned. "Diane, ain't nothing in this house with your name or his name on it. Not a stick, not a spoon, not a penny." She tilted her head like she felt sorry for me. "May, you so naive. Samuel told me he'd take care of his child. He told me he'd look out for Marcus. You acting like I'm trying to rob you. I'm trying to make sure his son gets his rightful share." Baby, I laughed. Not a fun laugh, not a pure laugh. It came out sharp, like something fragile cracking.
"Let me tell you something," I said, stepping close. "If Samuel made that child with you, and if he told you all this, and if you've been sitting on that secret for 30 years, then you lied to me every day of your life. And if he didn't say none of that and you lying now, then you using his death to grab money that ain't yours. Either way, you a liar, and I don't trust nothing coming out your mouth." For a second, just one, something ugly flickered in her eyes. Then it disappeared. She shrugged. "Believe what you want, but I ain't going nowhere until we figure out how to split that inheritance." Baby, inheritance? We talking about $17,000 total. That ain't inheritance. That's keep the lights on and buy groceries money. "You really think," I said, "that God's gonna bless you walking into my home the week my husband died, demanding money off a story you hid for 3 decades? God helps those who help themselves," she snapped. "That's not even scripture," I snapped back. Her lips twisted. "Fine, if you want to act holy, do that. But Marcus can get a lawyer. They can run tests. They can prove Samuel was his father. Then the court will make sure he gets his share." My whole body turned cold. She saw it, and she smiled. That smile told me she wasn't grieving. She wasn't emotional. She wasn't confused. She was plotting. And it wasn't even about the truth anymore. It was about power. "Before I do anything," I said, keeping my hands tight on the back of a chair so I wouldn't swing it, "I'm talking to somebody who ain't trying to hustle me." "Oh, who you gonna talk to?" she asked, mock sweet. "Pastor? He gonna tell you to be generous." "No," I said, "a lawyer." Watching her smirk fall off her face was the first blessing I'd gotten all week. "A lawyer?" she hissed. "You ain't got money like that." "You keep underestimating me. Samuel and I been preparing for rainy days before you even learned how to pay rent on time." Her mouth dropped open. Then she grabbed her purse, muttering, "You selfish. You always been selfish. And you always been messy. Some folks just get better at hiding it with age." She slammed the door on her way out. I let her. I needed that slam to remind me this wasn't a dream. Soon as she was gone, I reached up, opened the cabinet over the sink, and grabbed the little card taped inside, the number Samuel and I saved from a community workshop years ago. I traced his handwriting with my thumb and whispered, "Baby, if you left me with this mess, you better sit close while I clean it up." Then I dialed the number. And just like that, baby, the real fight began. Baby, when I tell you that walk into the legal aid office felt like stepping into a whole different world, I mean it. I clutched my purse the whole way there like somebody was going to snatch the little bit of sanity I had left right out my hands. The building was a small brick thing squeezed between a pawn shop and a barber shop where the men always argue loud about the Lakers. I stood outside a moment breathing deep because my legs were shaking like I'd run a marathon in church shoes, but I pushed that door open anyway. A woman got to face her storms, even if she don't want to. Soon as I stepped inside, that cool air hit my face and made my eyes sting. A young black woman at the front desk smiled at me. Box braids, gold hoops, pretty skin. Name tag said Attorney Camille Brooks. She looked up and said, "Miss May, please come on back. I read your intake notes. I'm so sorry for your loss." Her voice was so gentle, baby, I nearly burst into tears right there, but I swallowed it back. "Thank you, baby," I said, taking her hand. "I'm holding on, but I sure need some guidance before I drown in all this foolishness." She led me to her office, clean, organized, a few plants in the corner, like somebody who cared about life outside paperwork. She motioned for me to sit. I eased myself into that chair like my bones were tired of holding stories. And when I started talking, whew, everything poured out like water from a busted pipe. I told her about the funeral, the whisper, the inheritance lie, the 30-year secret Diane claimed, Marcus's visit, the threats of lawyers and DNA tests. Every word felt heavy, but she sat there taking notes, eyebrows pulled tight in focus, listening like everything I said mattered. When I finished, it felt like I just carried a refrigerator up 3 flights of stairs. She set her pen down slow. "Ms. May, I'm going to speak to you plain," she said. "You're not legally required to give Marcus anything, not 1 penny. If your husband didn't acknowledge him as his son on paper, no will, no written statement, then as far as the law sees it, you are the sole heir." I blinked at her. "Even if he was his father?" I whispered. "Biology doesn't override paperwork after death, unless someone petitions the court," she said. "And even then, judges sometimes refuse to open the states for small amounts, especially if it looks like somebody's stirring trouble." "So, she bluffing?" "Most likely, yes," she said. "Emotionally bold, legally empty." Baby, I had to grip the chair arm. Release slid down my spine like warm honey. But then a different kind of ache creeped up behind it. One that said, even if she can't take my money, she sure can take my peace. "What about this DNA talk she throwing around?" I asked. "She said they can test Samuel's brush or something." Camille shook her head. "They would need court permission first. And truthfully, most attorneys wouldn't touch this. Too expensive, too messy, too small of an estate. Unless y'all sitting on $1 million policy, which you're not, they'd be spending more money fighting than they'd ever get back." I exhaled slow. "So she ain't getting nothing?" "You can give Marcus something if you choose," she said, "but that's charity, not obligation." Baby, I looked down at my hands. Old hands, tired hands. Hands that cooked for both families for years. Hands that held Samuel's face the night he died. And I thought, Lord, what kind of sisterhood did I have if she could smile in my face all these years while holding that knife behind her back? Camille leaned forward. "Ms. May, can I ask something?" "What is it, baby?" "Do you believe your sister?" I sat quiet for a long time. "I believe my sister always been jealous of what I had," I said finally. "I believe she wanted a man like Samuel but never found one. I believe she liked the way he treated Marcus, 'cause Marcus's real daddy ain't worth a half-eaten biscuit. I believe she liked the attention, the help, the protection. But do I believe she kept a 30-year secret about a child that was my husband's?"
I shook my head. Baby, I don't know. And it's killing me that I don't. Camille reached across the desk, put her hand over mine. Ms. May, maybe the truth isn't as important as the peace. You get to choose what you carry. You don't have to wear every wound somebody hands you. Her words slid into me deep, like medicine, bitter but healing. When I left that office, the sun was high and the wind was warm. I walked slow, thinking about Samuel. Even after death, that man was pulling me into storms I never saw coming. I went down to the river, Samuel loved that spot, and sat on the bench, watched the water glide like it didn't have a worry in the world. Samuel, I whispered, baby, if this is your mess, you better help me clean it up. And if it ain't, then I need you to help me forgive myself for even wondering. A breeze blew across my face, soft, gentle, like a hand I knew too well. It made my eyes water. When I got home, I made the mistake of checking my phone. Baby, there were 5 missed calls from Diane, 3 voicemails, a text message saying, "We need to talk now. Don't make this harder than it has to be." I didn't answer a thing. Instead, I sat down at my kitchen table, opened my notebook, and wrote one name, Marcus, because no matter what Diane was doing, that boy didn't deserve to get caught up in her schemes, and I needed to see him again without her.
The next morning, I called him. Baby, can you come by later? Just you. He sighed. Yes, ma'am. I figured we wasn't done. When he showed up, he looked worn, like life had been kicking him in the back all week. He sat on the couch, rubbing his bad knee. Aunt Mae, he said softly, Mama been yelling all morning. She said you went to a lawyer. I sure did, I answered. He winced. Then I guess she's scared now. I leaned forward. Marcus, listen to me carefully. I don't blame you for none of this. But I need to know, do you believe what your mama said deep inside? Marcus swallowed hard. I don't know, he whispered. But let me tell you something. When I was 10, Samuel came to my school play. He brought me flowers. No other kid had flowers. I asked him why. He said, because you deserve to feel important, boy. And that stuck with me. He made me feel like somebody. Tears rolled down his face. If he was my father, I wish he told me himself. And if he wasn't, then I wish Mama would stop trying to rewrite my childhood. Baby, that broke me. For real. I put my arms around him, held him like he was my own blood. Because in every way that mattered, he was. When he left, I sat alone a long while, thinking, wondering, praying. And that was when I heard it. A slow, deliberate knock on my front door. I ain't even have to look, baby. I knew it was Diane. Baby, let me tell you, soon as that knock hit my door, slow and deliberate, like somebody tapping a coffin lid, my whole spirit said, that's Diane. I ain't even need to look through the peephole. When trouble wants to be seen, it'll stand right on your porch wearing its Sunday best. I opened the door just enough to see her face. She was standing there with her wig sitting crooked, eyes puffy, mouth tight like she'd been practicing an attitude all morning. She had on that same yellow dress she wore to church, like she thought it made her look innocent or holy or something. Baby, no amount of sunshine fabric can brighten a soul living in thunderclouds. You not gonna let me in? She asked, pushing her shoulder forward like she thought she was just gonna slide past me. I ain't decided yet, I said, keeping my hand firm on the door. What do you want, Diane? And choose your words carefully, because I'm tired, and tired women make dangerous decisions. She sucked her teeth. May, don't start. I'm here to talk. You didn't return my calls, my messages, nothing. That's disrespectful. Disrespectful? I raised my eyebrow. Baby, disrespect is what you did at Samuel's funeral. Disrespect is you rifling through my things like a raccoon with a grudge. Disrespect is you threatening legal action over a story that don't have a backbone. Her mouth twitched. So you really went to a lawyer? I sure did, I said, and she told me exactly how much of a leg you got to stand on. And what'd she say? She asked, chin raised, trying to sound confident, that I owe you nothing, I said, leaning against the door frame. Absolutely nothing. She blinked fast, once,
Twice. She don't know what she talking about, she said weakly. She know more than you do, 'cause she got degrees. You got drama. For a moment, I thought she'd lunge at me, but instead she slumped against the porch railing like air leaked out of her. Her voice dropped quiet. I'm in trouble, Mae. I didn't say nothing. Hurt don't evaporate just because somebody suddenly softens their tone. She swallowed hard. Marcus's medical bill's been piling up. He hurt his back worse than he told you. He might need surgery. They saying it's gonna be 10, maybe 12,000. I ain't got it. So you thought I did? I asked, arms crossed. Her eyes filled with tears, not big falling tears, but the kind that brim and make you suspicious. I thought Samuel left something. I did, I said. He left me grief, memories, and a life insurance policy barely bigger than a Walmart receipt. That's it.
Her face twisted. Mae, he helped me with Marcus's school stuff, with clothes, and I ain't never begrudged him that, I said. Samuel had a big heart, bigger than both of ours. He didn't help you because he was Marcus's father. He helped because Marcus needed a man to step up, and his sorry biological daddy wasn't one. Her head snapped up. For a second, her mask cracked. You don't know nothing about... I know enough, I cut in. And even if the truth is exactly what you said, you should have told me when Samuel was alive, not when he was cold in the ground. She paced the porch like a panther trapped in a chicken coop. I didn't want to ruin your marriage, she said. You loved him too much. And you didn't? I asked. The way she froze, baby, it was like lightning struck her spine. She didn't answer. Couldn't, because the truth sat between us like a third person. I stepped closer. Tell me something, Diane. Did Samuel ever tell you he was Marcus's daddy? Or is this your own guilt trying to rewrite history? Her chin trembled. Mae, I thought maybe if you helped us, it wouldn't matter whether he was or wasn't. So the truth don't matter, I said. She whispered, sometimes it don't. Baby, I swear something inside me snapped, clean in two. Get off my porch, I said, voice low and steady. She blinked. What? I said, get off my porch, I repeated. Because you didn't come here to apologize. You didn't come for truth. You came because your plan fell apart. And now you want to act like we sisters again, hoping sympathy gonna make me stupid. Mae, please. No, I said. Not today, not tomorrow. Not until you learn that lies don't buy blessings. She stood there another second, chest rising and falling hard. Then she turned slow and walked down my steps, wiping her eyes like I was the one who hurt her. But baby, just when she got to the sidewalk, she spun around. You know, she said, voice sharp, it wouldn't kill you to help Marcus. You know he loves Samuel. You know he like a son to you. My heart thumped hard. He is like a son to me, I said. That's why I'm not dragging him into your mess. You doing enough damage for both of y'all. She opened her mouth to argue again, but I closed the door right in her face. Soft, not slammed, just enough to say, conversation over. Inside the house, I leaned back against the wood and didn't move. My whole body was buzzing like I'd been holding electricity. Diane's footsteps faded down the walkway, and when they were gone, I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. But baby, that peace lasted maybe 10 seconds because my phone buzzed. Not a call, not a text, a picture from an unknown number. And baby, when I opened it, it was a picture of Samuel
holding baby Marcus in our old kitchen from a year I couldn't place. My heart stopped so hard I thought I died and came back. And the caption under it said, "Tell me again how none of this matters." Baby, when I saw that picture pop up on my phone, Samuel holding little baby Marcus in our old kitchen like it was the most normal thing in the world, my whole body went cold. Not cool, not chilly, I'm talking graveyard cold. The kind of cold that creeps into your bones and makes your teeth itch. I sat right there on the edge of my couch staring at that screen like it was a ghost reaching out from the past. The date stamp wasn't clear, just a faded corner from some old flip phone quality. Samuel looked younger, late 20s maybe. Same warm eyes, same crooked smile he always gave babies. And Marcus, maybe 7 or 8 months old. Little chubby legs, sippy cup in his fist. The picture wasn't proof of nothing by itself, but baby, it sure was enough to shake the truth loose in your mind whether you wanted to or not. My hand started trembling so bad I had to put the phone down on the coffee table before I dropped it. I stared at that picture like it was breathing, like it might blink. My heart kept whispering, "It don't mean what you think it mean, Mae." But my mind whispered something colder. Then who took this picture and why send it now? Then the phone buzzed again, another message. Samuel always helped me. Don't act brand new. Baby, my stomach twisted. I wanted to throw the phone right out the window. Instead, I picked it back up with shaky fingers and typed, "Who is this?" No response. Just 3 dots. Then they disappeared. Then came back. Disappeared again. Like whoever it was couldn't decide if they wanted to ruin my life or keep the game going. I sat there shaking until the silence got too loud. I grabbed my keys, grabbed my purse, and walked out the door. I didn't know where I was going at first. I just knew I couldn't sit in that house with that picture staring at me from my phone like an accusation. Baby, my feet took me straight to the cemetery without me even thinking. I parked crooked, didn't even lock the door, just walked and walked until I reached Samuel's grave. The dirt was still fresh, a little mound still high. The flowers folks left were already wilting, petals shriveled like they'd heard the same story I did and couldn't hold themselves upright no more. I stood over that grave with my hands on my hips and said out loud, "Samuel, baby, you better come correct from wherever you resting because I need answers and the living ain't giving them to me." The wind blew, soft at first, then stronger. The trees whispered like they wanted to talk but didn't want to get involved. I knelt down and brushed dirt from the edge of the marker, my fingers trembling. "I loved you," I whispered. "I loved you for more years than I loved myself. I trusted you. I walked beside you through every storm God sent. And if you left me with a lie this big, if you let me stand beside my own sister for decades without telling me the truth, then baby, I don't even know who I've been married to." My voice cracked. "But if this is her doing, her lie, her manipulation, then Lord help me not lose my soul trying to fight a woman who ain't worth a butter knife on a good day." I wiped my eyes, stood slowly, and walked back to the car with a heart heavy as wet laundry. When I got home, the porch light was on, even though I hadn't turned it on. My stomach dropped. I walked up slow, keys clenched between my fingers like claws, and there, sitting on the porch steps with his hands clasped and his head bowed, was Marcus. He looked up when he heard my footsteps, eyes red, face tight with something between guilt and fear. "Amma," he said, voice cracking. "Mama showed me the picture." Ah, so the snake had used her son as the final push. I crossed my arms.
And what you think that picture proves, baby? He stood up slowly, limping a little. I don't know, he said, honestly. That's the problem. I don't know what's real anymore. Mama says Samuel used to hold me all the time, that he loved me like something more than just a nephew. She said he promised her he'd always look out for me. But did she ever tell you that while he was alive? Nope, she only said it after he passed.